So I used to live in a small town and rented this old plain-looking house. Nothing fancy, just a one-story place. A bit rundown but cozy enough. It was cheap, which is why I took it. The landlord said the last tenant had left suddenly, but I didn't really think much of it. Anyway, I lived there for a few months and things were fine. Quiet and peaceful. But then weird stuff started happening. It began with little things like items going missing. I'd leave my keys on the counter, come back later, and they'd be in a different room. Or I'd hear faint knocking at night like soft taps coming from random parts of the house. I tried to rationalize everything, but chalked it up to me being tired from work, or maybe just forgetting where I'd left stuff. And I figured the odd sounds was just the old house settling. Then, one night, I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. They weren't heavy, but distinct, like someone walking barefoot on the wooden floor. My bedroom door was cracked open just slightly, and I could see the hallway dimly lit from a streetlight outside. I lay there frozen, trying to listen carefully. The steps would start, get closer to my door, stop, and then start again, moving away. After trying to convince myself I was just hearing things, I got up and checked every corner of the house, but there was nothing. I even checked the locks, and all of them were still secure. But things got worse after that. I started having nightmares, like vivid, horrible ones where I'd be paralyzed in my bed, unable to move, and something would be standing over me. I could never see its face, just a dark figure. The worst part was, these nightmares felt real, like I wasn't dreaming. It always felt like I'd wake up in the same position I'd fallen asleep in, except now my body would be stiff, like I'd been tensed up all night. One night I had that same nightmare again, but this time I woke up gasping for air. I was covered in sweat, and my body was sore like I'd been holding my breath. I glanced at the clock and it was 3:15 a.m. The room was pitch black, but I noticed the door was wide open. I always kept it barely cracked at night. Then I heard the footsteps again, coming down the hall, closer and closer. This time, there was no mistaking it. Someone or something was inside the house. I sat up, heart pounding, trying to listen over the sound of my own breathing. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. I don't know what made me do it, but I forced myself to whisper, "Who's there?" And it responded. It was a whispery and low voice, but sounded kind of strange. It said I never left. I don't remember much after that, except jumping out the window of my room, running to my car, and driving off without looking back. I only went back inside the house once after that. I packed up my stuff the next day with some friends during daylight and moved out immediately. Here's the kicker. When I talked to the landlord, he told me the last tenant had done the exact same thing and left in the middle of the night without any explanation. He didn't seem surprised when I told him what had happened. He just looked at me and said, "Yeah." They all say the same thing, something about not being alone.